Positive action for fostering self-esteem. A plan to foster self-esteem should have specific goals and strategies. You must be aware of things that contribute to fostering self-esteem and those that detract from that process. Let's start with the positive things you can do. Show an interest in students as individuals. Get to know them as individuals. Show them that you have noticed them as individuals by reflecting back the things they tell you about themselves and remembering their likes, achievements, and the key events in their lives that they tell you about. Listen and remember and let the children see that you are doing both. Encourage students to discuss their feelings with you. Students are often more willing to confide in a teacher aide than a teacher, so this gives you a unique and valuable opportunity to find out what is troubling them or holding them back. Listen with empathy and without judgment. Take every question a student asks seriously and treat it with dignity and respect. There are no stupid questions. Keep your answers as positive as you can. Don't be dismissive. Make the first move when a student seems to be having a problem. Don't always wait for them to come to you. Your first approach should be gentle and non-threatening. Make it clear that you are not demanding an explanation, that you are there and you are interested. Seek out shy students and gently draw them toward you and toward the group. Don't do this in a pushy way or one likely to embarrass the student in front of peers. However, don't let someone languish in the corner or drift behind the pack. Some students need more encouragement and attention than others. Treat all students equally and demonstrate interest and tolerance for them all. If a student has some trait that sets him apart or makes him more difficult to work with, don't let that become a barrier. The more difficulty a student has fitting in, the more responsibility you have to help that person try to do so. Demonstrate confidence by letting students try things, even if they will sometimes fail. You should never let a student place himself in physical danger, but there are other times when students need to be willing to take reasonable risks. Try to find something good to say. Students rarely produce something that is a total failure. For example, if a young child has produced a picture that is full of bright color but shows object out of perspective and proportion to one another, you might say, "I love your use of color here. Now let's work on the size of things you draw so that they go together a little better. Here's what I mean. When a student does fail at something, make a distinction between a failed action and a failed person. Make it clear that failing is part of learning and that the important thing is to learn from the mistake. Always express confidence that the student can and will eventually learn how to perform this skill or task successfully. Self-esteem detractors. We have discussed positive behaviors you can plan and practice to help build self-esteem. However, it is just as important that you recognize some negative actions that you can quickly tear down, part of what you are building in terms of student self-confidence. Most of the items on the following list are not things you would do intentionally or with premeditation. However, you should be aware of the danger of slipping into these negative behaviors and guard against them. Avoid embarrassing or humiliating a student in front of others. Sometimes it will be inevitable that a student's mistakes will be observed by other children. Don't let children overhear you discussing them with the teacher, with parents, or in front of other children. Do not show favoritism. It is inevitable that you will be drawn more to some children than others, and it is not hard to like someone who is cooperative and appreciative more than someone who is making your day more difficult. However, you have a duty not to let your preferences or affection for a particular student show. Don't make your points with students by comparing them to other students. Don't praise a student in front of the class as a way of trying to influence or indirectly reprimand the rest of the class. Don't brush off a student in need because you're too busy to listen. If now is not a good moment, offer another opportunity. Then follow up on your offer. Avoid insincere praise or flattery. Try to find the good in things, but don't invent good where it doesn't exist. There are other ways to be positive. Sometimes something a student produces may be better described as great effort rather than as a great achievement. Students want to learn genuine recognition. Don't hold grudges. Students need to be able to move on from their behavioral mistakes. Your attitude must be, that was then and this is now. Accept apologies and move on. Don't frustrate a child's first budding efforts at changing or improving. Ways of showing approval. How can you maintain an ongoing spirit of praise and encouragement without starting to sound phony or insincere? Listed below are some guidelines. Education. Find the good in something and mention it. Praise effort as well as results. If a student turns in work that is not up to his usual standard, begin your observation by praising the student's track record of previous success. Assume that there is a logical reason for a problem a student is having and that the reason can be identified and corrected. Point out specific traits or qualities that are praiseworthy: accuracy, speed, efficiency, imagination, cooperation. Don't forget to praise or acknowledge the little things: dependability, courtesy, persistence, good humor, helpfulness. The child who scores the home run in kickball deserves acknowledgement, but so does the one who volunteers to run all the way down the hill to get the ball back. It's nice when you can say that a child is a great artist or a promising sculptor, but there's also something to be said to the one who is a good listener and follows instructions carefully. Point out signs of progress or improvement, even when goals have not yet been fully met or results are not yet fully satisfactory. Express pride or gratitude equally. Don't tell one student, "I'm proud of you," while only muttering "good job" to another student with an identical achievement. Get in the habit of using brief, peppy expressions of appreciation for routine acknowledgement of good work. Phrases like, "Way to go," "Now you've got it," "Nicely done," "Keep up the good work," "Good job," "I know you could do it." These expressions are good for routine acknowledgement of performance because they aren't so full of superlatives that they seem insincere. Save the real superlatives like "terrific" or "this is the best you've ever done" for higher levels of achievement so they will continue to hold meaning.